Covalent Careers as well. So I was just speaking to the audience of viewers who are following us along on YouTube. I'm here with Dr. Bill Werner. And he's going to be talking about key things OD should know about practicing in the National Vision Network. And if you've been following along with us yesterday, or maybe just today, or even in the last session, a lot of questions have come up around organizations hiring, right? So who's still hiring? And National Vision is one of those organizations. So, we asked Bill, Dr. Werner, to kind of join us and provide some key information about practicing with National Vision. I know you've got a presentation, a small presentation kind of ready that you wanted to share. So, I'll turn it over to you. If you want to give yourself a brief intro, you can, but while you get set up, maybe I will. For those of you who don't know Dr. Werner, he's been really, after graduating, I think he got started with National Vision right away, if I'm not mistaken, practicing in the clinic. And then over time, you kind of held a variety of different roles. And at this point, you're the Director of Student Relations. So got a lot to say, a lot to share. So I'm going to turn it over to you. And for those of you who do have questions, please ask away. For those that are following along and gathering Easter eggs for the raffle, I'll give you another code word here, academia. You want to take that word and type it in. Academia is the Easter egg. So, be sure to check into the booth here at National Vision and to all the other booths and take academia, and you'll get additional entries. So without further ado, Dr. Werner, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll kind of keep an eye out for any questions that might come in. So the stage is yours.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Antonio. So I'm just going to give a high-level overview. It's going to be a short presentation, but a high-level overview on who National Vision is, how our offices operate, what it's like to practice within one of our locations. As Antonio sort of mentioned, my background with National Vision so far, I graduated from ICO in 2011, and I joined the National Vision Doctor Network directly out of optometry school. So I've been with the company for going on 9 years at this point in time. So to give you more of a background on who National Vision is, we are one of the largest and one of the fastest growing optical retailers in the country, and we operate in 44 states nationwide. Now, there's actually a lot of people who have never heard of National Vision before, and that's because none of our locations advertise specifically as National Vision. We have 5 brands that fall underneath the parent company. America's Best Contacts and Eyeglasses is probably the most well-known. Eyeglass World are vision centers inside of Walmart. So there is a difference between corporate Walmart and Walmart affiliated with National Vision. There's a few thousand Walmart vision centers. National Vision has a contract with Walmart to operate a very small percentage of the locations, 226 to be exact. And then we have Vista Opticals inside Fred Meyer, which is in the Pacific Northwest part of the country, as well as our Vista Opticals on some select military bases as well. So within those 5 divisions to the state, we have over 1,100 locations nationwide. Over 750 of those are within our America's Best brand. So you can see how much larger that brand is compared to the others. And over the last several years, we have opened an average of 75 locations every single year. And we are continuing to expand rapidly. Looking at the career modalities that National Vision and our affiliated independent practices offer, so full-time is considered a minimum of 4 days a week or 32 hours. Most doctors are contracted 5 days, and then we also do have some that choose to work with us 6 days. Now, when you're full-time, you're eligible for a comprehensive benefits package that I'm going to go into specific detail here shortly. Part-time is anywhere from 1 to 3 days a week. So it's a guaranteed set schedule from week to week. So we do have some doctors that are working with us, say 1, 2 or 3 days a week, and then they're working at a local practice, maybe in a specialty clinic on their days off from us. And then casual part-time is basically a fill-in doctor. So whenever our employed part-time and full-time doctors request time off, we'll reach out to our casual part-timers, see if they're willing and able to work, and then they have the ability to say yes or no. Now, there are some doctors that have more of an entrepreneur mindset, and for those that are interested in sub-leaseholder positions instead of employment, we do have positions for those doctors. Now, all of our America's Best opportunities are going to be employment, whether that be full-time, part-time, or casual part-time. Our other 4 divisions outside of America's Best do have subleaseholder positions. There were several things when I first graduated and was looking at practices to join private practice versus corporate. There were several things that stood out to me in regards to National Vision. And one is this last bullet point. So the ability to relocate or change mode of practice. So I knew if life took me, let's say I joined National Vision directly out of school, and if life took me in a different directions 5, 10 years down the road, and I needed to move states or move to a different area of the same state, I knew I would potentially have an opportunity to continue to work with National Vision or one of our practices. So I first started within our Eyeglass World division in Louisville, Kentucky, before relocating to an America's Best opportunity in Indiana, which is my home state. So let's delve into the benefits package that is included with an employment opportunity. So as I mentioned, full-time starts out at 4 days. Most doctors are contracted 5 days. Now, whether you are full-time 4, 5, or 6 days, you get the exact same benefits package. The only difference would be base salary. So in addition to a competitive base salary, we're eligible for monthly bonuses. And those bonuses are based on the number of patients we see on an average per day over the course of a month. So we don't receive any bonus based on contact lens sales or eyeglass lens sales. And I can tell you, I personally like that. And I think probably majority of our doctors do, because it allows us to be a doctor in the exam lane, not feeling like we have to force product on patients. We did not go to school to be salespeople. We went to school to be doctors, and I think any doctor would be happy to hear this aspect of how we practice. We all work super hard as optometrists, so we all deserve our time off as well. So I would recommend, if you are interviewing and talking to any potential employer, make sure you're asking questions in regards to the paid time off and paid holidays, paid vacation that you would be receiving. So during the first full calendar year, so let's use an example and say that you were to join us in July or August of this year. Starting January 1st of 2021, so your first full calendar year, you would get over 4 weeks of paid time off and paid holidays. That increases by a day each year, going up to over 6 weeks. So you get a substantial amount of paid time off. Yes, you would have a few days to use for the rest of this year if you did join us this year, but starting January 1st is where it really kicks into over those 4 weeks and then continues to increase yearly. We're eligible for a medical, dental, and short and long-term disability plan, as well as contributing to a retirement savings plan. I want to highlight our CE course. So every single year, typically the first weekend of June, we have a CE continuing education symposium where the company will provide 22 hours of CE every single year. They pay for our transportation, our hotels, and our meals over that 3-day time period. So yes, it's a long 3 days if you're getting 22 hours in 3 days, but we have a lot of fun events planned throughout as well. You get to meet other doctors that work with us around the country. I always use it as a mini reunion to meet up with classmates that I graduated with. I look forward to it every single year. And last year we had over 1,000 doctors all in the same room getting CE together. Unfortunately, our CE conference this year, which was supposed to happen the first weekend of June, has been canceled due to the current circumstances. However, the company found a way to be able to still provide this benefit to us. So we are doing live webinars over 3 Sundays in the month of May, and we actually had one this past Sunday as well. So we're still being able to get those 22 hours that we would have typically been able to get in Dallas, Texas. And one thing I do actually want to mention in regards to that, so when I talk to current doctors, they tend to understand how big of a deal this CE benefit truly is. When I talk to students, I don't know that they necessarily grasp the benefit of the CE conference. When you look at one CE hour, it typically can range from anywhere from $35 to $50 that it costs. So it's a huge benefit that National Vision will take on for each of our full-time doctors. So in addition to employment positions, we do have those sublease holder opportunities throughout our 4 divisions of Eyeglass World, our Walmart Vision Centers that we are affiliated with, as well as our Vista Opticals inside Fred Meyer and on some select military bases. So as a sublease doctor, you technically get to grow your own business. All standard equipment is going to be provided to eliminate startup costs. Now, there's a couple things that are different for a sublease doctor versus an employed doctor. One would be how income is generated. So as an employed doctor, you're definitely getting a base salary every 2 weeks. Now, as a sublease doctor, all income is based on exam fees. So if patients aren't coming in the door, you're not making any income. So all income based on exam fees and professional fees. So it's very important that patients are coming in and seeing you versus an employed doctor. If you were to have a slower day one day versus what you typically do, you're still going to be getting that base pay. The sublease doctors are going to be responsible for doing their own billing and coding versus an employed doctor that is handled for us by the receptionists and the opticians when the patient checks out. So when we reach out to a patient population, we are reaching out to the middle class, but then also those who haven't had an eye exam in a very long time or who have never had eye care before. So we see a wide range of patients. We see those who are less fortunate, but then also those who are more well off as well, just looking to come get a better deal. But we have several different departments within our corporate offices, one of those being professional services. And our goal within professional services is to be able to provide high quality eye care to serve patients who otherwise would not be able to get the care that they need. So our professional services department is all doctor-centered, doctor-oriented, making sure that all of our doctors within our locations are getting everything that they need in order to provide great care to all of our patients. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail specifically on National Vision and how the locations operate. But these are some highlights as well that I would recommend that if you are interviewing at any potential practice to make sure that you are asking these questions. So in regards to contracts, there's two big things that you need to look at when you're looking at a contract. One is how you terminate the contract if you ever need to get out of it for whatever reason. And then also make sure you're looking at the non-compete clause. So with our contracts, we have a simple out clause. So as a full-time doctor, if you ever need to get out of the contract, all you have to do is give a 60-day notice, so 2 months. If you are a part-time doctor or a leaseholder, you have to give a 30-day notice, so an easy out clause if needed. A huge benefit of our contracts is we don't have a non-compete clause. So if a doctor does leave, we are not going to limit them from practicing elsewhere. It's also one reason why we are able to have doctors work with us, but then also work at other practices as well. So what support staff is going to be provided? So we have several receptionists, several opticians, we have an office manager, assistant office manager, contact lens manager, and we have an optometric technician within the locations. So that optometric tech is doing a full workup pre-test for the doctor. So they're taking case histories, neutralizing eyeglasses, taking visual acuities, color vision, stereo, autorefractor, autokeratometer readings. They're going to measure the IOP pressures via NCT. And then, of course, each exam lane has a Goldman if we need to repeat that for whatever reason. We also do offer an FDT visual field as well as retinal photography in most of our America's Best locations. And relatively inexpensive, patients are choosing to have that done. So are you going to have that support within your location, the practice that you work in, to be able to do that pre-testing for you? Or are you going to be responsible for doing all of that on your own that you may have typically been used to doing when you were in school as well? What additional peer support may be provided outside of the office? So within our locations and within our districts, we also have what's called area doctors. And area doctors are there basically from a mentor standpoint. So if our doctors ever have any questions, suggestions, concerns about anything, they can reach out to the area doctor for guidance on how to handle a certain situation. Our opticals are also supported by district managers as well as regional managers. However, they are also there to support our doctors within the offices. What administrative tasks will you be responsible for? So are you going to have to be responsible for doing the hiring and firing of optical staff? We do not have to do that. And then also billing and coding. As an employed doctor, that is handled for us, as I mentioned before, by our receptionists, opticians when the patient checks out, and our managed care department at our corporate office. What hours are you going to have to work? So typically we come in and start seeing patients by 9:30 in the morning. We get an hour lunch, and last patient is scheduled at 6 o'clock at night. On Saturday, we still get that hour lunch. However, last patient is scheduled at 5 o'clock. So even though we're working an hour shorter on Saturday, we are still getting paid a full day. So yes, we do work Saturdays. The profession has gone that route of needing to be available most Saturdays. However, we are given ample vacation time, personal time that I mentioned before, that if we ever need a Saturday off for whatever reason, we just request that using our time off. If you ever need to refer a patient out for whatever reason, are you going to be dictated that you have to refer to a certain doctor or a certain practice? We have a list of doctors within each of our locations that our optometrists can refer to if they need to refer out, and it's broken down by specialty. However, all of our doctors can refer to their physician of choice. And then make sure you're looking at that benefits package. You don't just want to look at base salary. So let's say you are looking at two jobs, job A and job B, and job A quotes you a high base salary. Job B quotes you a lower base salary, but they give you a more extensive benefits package. Well, that job B may actually be more beneficial for you from a financial standpoint. So in addition to seeing millions of patients every single year within our locations, we are involved in several philanthropic efforts throughout the optical industry. I'm going to highlight a couple of them. We have had a partnership with the Boys and Girls Club since 2016, providing vision services to those that are in need who belong to the clubs. I want to highlight our Eyeglass World division as well. So we have a program called Made Locally, Given Globally, where it started in 2019. And for every pair of glasses that has been purchased within our Eyeglass World locations, we are making an additional pair of glasses to provide to a developing country. So I've shared my contact information here. Always feel free to email, call, text me if you have any questions whatsoever in regards to National Vision or just optometry in general. We are all colleagues, so we're all here to help each other out. So if I can ever be of assistance to you throughout your career, definitely feel free to reach out. We are currently interviewing and hiring doctors at this point as well, even through the current circumstances. So be open and willing to doing virtual interviews, virtual practice visits, as we are definitely still hiring quite a bit at this point in time. If you're interested in learning more about our practices and our specific locations, you can visit our website, nationalvision.com, or you can also visit our booth, where we do have team members who are currently working at the booth. And then I do want to end here. When we are hiring optometrists, our goal is to hire on doctors who want to join us for their entire career. So we are trying to create an environment where optometrists want to spend their entire career with us. However, we understand that's not always going to be the case. And it probably can sound quite daunting to you if you are trying to decide about joining a career or a job for your entire career. And we understand that, but keep in mind that that is our goal. You guys have all the flexibility in the world that if you were to join a practice, join a job, and if it doesn't work out for you long term, there are going to be so many different job opportunities out there where you will be able to find one that is best for you. So Antonio, were there any questions that came up through the presentation?
Yeah, there's a couple questions that came in, Bill, and thanks for hopping on and sharing all that information. And like you said, definitely check out the opportunities at the National Vision booth if this is where you're watching that. If you're watching this in YouTube, you can head over to Covalent Careers and into the exhibit hall, just pop into the National Vision booth, and you can connect with their team there around job opportunities, or just check out their resources. There's a lot of good articles and videos that we've created together, actually, that will give you a lot of information. But in terms of questions that popped in here, Bill, I've got two for you. One question is can you be part-time and casual part-time at the same time to pick up more hours when needed? So I'll throw that one at you first.
Yeah, so all of our optometrists sign a contract, whether that be full-time, part-time, or casual part-time, or a sublease doctor. Now, we would not have you sign two different contracts, part-time and casual part-time. You would just sign one contract. However, you would still be available, and if you are wanting to pick up additional hours or additional days, you are able to do that, even if you are only contracted, say, for 1 day a week. If there's opportunities to pick up a second day, some weeks, there would be opportunities to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. And another question that popped in was, when you do schedule a day off, will the company help put in a fill-in doc? And, you know, maybe this depends on the particular situation that you're in, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, great question. So whenever a doctor requests time off, that is requested to the lead area doctor within the district, who then finds the fill-in coverage. So none of our doctors are responsible for finding their own fill-in coverage when they take time off. That is a huge deal. That can be quite time consuming to be able to try to find somebody to fill in for you. So our lead area doctors are responsible for doing that.
Fantastic, fantastic. And it looks like one other additional question came in. Here you go. So two questions actually popped in. Do you choose how many patients per hour?
So the number of patients that we see per day or per hour, it's a set schedule throughout the entire company. So it's not necessarily something that is determined from office to office. That is going to be determined by the company's schedule nationally.
Got it. Okay. I think, let me do a quick refresh here on the chat to see if any other questions popped in. Looks like there's a question about Saturdays. I think you had kind of mentioned this here just a little bit earlier. So if you're tuning in now, it was, you know, you were talking just in general about the Saturday schedule, and typically you do work Saturdays. But the question was, you know, are we working Saturdays? How many Saturdays typically? What's the scheduling look like?
Yeah, so in regards to Saturdays specifically, we would come in and start seeing patients by 9:30 in the morning. We would get an hour lunch, and last patient would be scheduled by 5 o'clock. However, even though we're working an hour shorter than what we typically do throughout the week, we are still getting paid for that full day. What was the rest of that question as well?
I think the rest of the question was, it looks like how many Saturdays typically
how many Saturdays?
Are, yeah.
Yeah, so we work most Saturdays. However, if we need to take a Saturday off, let's say if you have a wedding to go to, or if you have another family or friend function going on a Saturday, you just use one of your paid time off or paid holidays in order to get that Saturday off. So you would just request that to the area doctor, and our area doctors are quite good at making sure that our doctors get the time off that they request.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Well, it looks like we're just hitting the time limit here. So if there are any questions, further questions that popped in that we didn't get to, please just pop into the National Vision booth there, and you can chat with a member of their team, and you can, you know, connect with them, ask any questions you have that we weren't able to answer here or just didn't get to. But head on over there, talk to their team. And Bill, thanks for joining us again. I'd mentioned earlier that you joined us yesterday for another talk, just general sharing advice on, you know, job searching in general. So if you missed that talk, you can check that out on our YouTube playlist. That's going to be coming out. We'll send that to everybody. And one last Easter egg before I jump into the next session. And the Easter egg here, you can use this in the raffle. Type this in, one word. One word is nursing home. So just type it in as one word and you'll get additional entries. So thanks, Bill. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, Antonio. Have a good day.
You too. All right, everybody. We'll see you over in the education lobby for the next session here. See you guys there. Bye.